So let's talk a little bit about our article I had you looking at last week. This Coddling the American Mind. Now, it's a very lengthy article, and I just want to basically, and it's about 5 years. The gentleman who actually wrote this have gone on to actually write a book about the same topic. But I find it interesting, and there's actually a recording of some stuff you can listen to as well. But what I really want you to do is to get into this, because it's fascinating to me how this still plays a role in our struggles with things like cancel culture. That's also going on, and we'll read something specifically about this and that later. But it's very fascinating how this article lays out some things, and I want you to give some considerations if you haven't written your thing to yet, understanding where this article is coming from, and that it's trying to be instructive about how we can approach this issue without necessarily blowing things up as one way or the other. Because the people that I follow and listen to these days are very worried about cancel culture, and they worry about it because though they understand the premise of trying to, how shall I put it, undercut or take away the power of hurtful and harmful speech, they are very quick to also acknowledge that when you do that, are you actually doing yourself a favor? Because it's this whole idea about whether or not words are violence and whatever happened to persuasion. What I find interesting about this article is its way is that it's trying to take on this idea of behavioral therapy as a way of, an exposure therapy as a way of helping people move past these issues rather than let them become such a highly divisive force in our culture today, and it still is. Like I said, cancel culture. I'm just skimming over some of it here, but getting into this idea here, the fortune telling, they talk about the trigger warnings, all these things, these negative thought processes that get people so wound up that it prevents them from engaging in healthy and productive debate. Even with people you vehemently disagree with. Just because there's disagreement doesn't mean there can't be debate. So I'm very passionate about this article, and I'm curious to get your impressions of it. And he goes through things like, this idea of magnification, labeling, microaggressions. And for some people, these are very real. This is not to say that this article attempts to discount any of the real issues of some of this stuff, okay? But what it's trying to say is that if we just shut down all debate, eventually it's going to be very damaging to our culture as a whole. It's going to render and split us. And so it's trying to offer a way forward that moves us back into these ideas here. And so you can say, what can we do now? It says here, attempts to shield students from words, ideas, and people they might cause them emotional discomfort are bad for students, bad for the workplace, okay? It's bad for American democracy in a lot of ways, okay? Rather than trying to protect students from words and ideas that they will inevitably encounter, college should be due to equip students to thrive in a world full of words and ideas that they cannot control. Okay? And they're talking a lot here about cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay? That's one of the things that, because one of them who is actually participating is a cognitive behavioral therapist. Okay? And so they go through some ideas. And at the very end, of course, they wrote some nice little thing here about lists of different kinds of cognitive distortions that people engage in and in control. And so what I want to hear from you guys this week is your thoughts on this, and then interact with each other. And I'm going to jump in there a little bit later and try and sort of talk with you guys as well, because I'm really curious to hear what you have to say here. And then make sure that not only do you post your original, but you are responding to your classmates as well, okay? Now, this coming Friday, I'm recording this on Wednesday the 9th. You do have a final draft, okay, on the 11th of Project 1 coming up, okay? You revise. So I have revised and sent notes and feedback through Moodle to anybody who posted something. So please take care of that. But the thing I do want to talk about with you today is our next project. And I've already inputted the dates for it. I'm going to give you some time here. So you have almost a month. In fact, you have a month from today between this and your final draft. And this is Project 2, and this can be found on the blog. Faculty Who assignment is designed for you guys to get to know some of the faculty here at Claflin. Now, I would prefer that you do people in the English department, but if you are in English education and you want to reach out and use some of the education faculty, that's fine too. But I want you to try and reach out to at least 3 different faculty, and you need to conduct this interview. And since we are not in a face-to-face kind of situation, it would be best that you arrange this interview either by phone or by Zoom, and that you do need to make contact with these professors, okay? So I've got a little bit of a step-by-step here. You need to set up the interview by sending a professional email to the faculty member. I would like it if you CC'd me on it as well. And when you do this, make sure you tell them I'm going to be sending out a message to most of the English department, letting them know that they can expect contact from majors and people in the field who are working on this assignment. But it's a good idea just to reach out to them and talk to them and let them